my house shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Prince. You are checking out hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, VIPs, for locking in. You have reached the after hour. This is the hour where we get a little looser. We touch on some topics that might be just a little more salacious, a little more free thinking, perhaps. Or maybe just, not for sensitive eyes and ears. You are locked in, and I appreciate you being here so much. So this hour, what we're going to talk about the Spence versus Crawford fight. I know you probably checked it out over the weekend, or someone you love did. And maybe you just went and had good food and enjoyed good company. I don't know, but it was the thing to do this weekend, and it was a big match. A lot of people had a lot of money bet on it. A lot of people took some L's with their predictions, but it was a good match. It was highly entertaining in a different sort of way. It wasn't as entertaining from the perspective that we thought it would be more equally matched as far as what we saw in the ring, but, not so much. So we'll get into that. We're also going to discuss what is going on with a Clippers small forward. He was arrested in LA on Sunday morning. Little details on that. We're going to talk a little bit about J. Cole and who he said is his biggest inspiration as far as rappers. We're also going to get into Cardi B's husband, Offset. He talked about the reasons why he cheated on Cardi, but he also talked about how he holds Cardi down in a way that most men aren't ready for or are ready to do for the women in their life. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what one TikToker said. So there's a man that is on TikTok, and he's making waves because of the topic of one of his most recent videos. So he claims to be a relationship expert. Not sure if he is. A dating expert, I should say. And so he basically goes on to explain that men's sexual needs are just the same as a woman's emotional needs. So what he said, this video was posted July 17th. He said that men have needs. That's the title. And so he draws a direct link between how women are desiring and needing to feel emotionally fulfilled in a relationship and how men need to have sex. He said that a big problem in relationships is that men and women aren't being honest about their sexual needs and what they need to function. And so he says that just like women talk about what type of emotional needs they require from men, and they have these conversations, those needs go both ways, and that women need to be more considerate of their men and their needs in a relationship. So this is how he broke it down. He basically said, ladies, have you ever rejected a man sexually that you were dating? The classic, "Oh, I'm not in the mood tonight. I'm tired." He said, "The guy got a little frustrated, right?" He said, "And then you gave him an attitude." And he was just trying to explain to you that he has needs. He continued by saying that you, the woman in the relationship, are arguing that the relationship is more than just sex and he needs to be more sensitive. But he is proclaiming that the need for intimacy that women have and the need for sex are just as intense and just as important. He said that just like you don't expect to go a night without talking to your boo, he didn't say boo, I did. You know, being bonded and connected, it's ridiculous that you don't understand that he has needs too. And he says that when men bring these topics up to women, that women oftentimes shut them down and dismiss them and say that they're being superficial and that there is more to a relationship than sex. So I want to know from the men, do you feel like the rejection that women receive when they are emotionally hurt, when the man doesn't want them anymore, he's moved around, he's changed his mind, is the same as a woman denying you sex and telling you that she, isn't feeling like it right now? Do you feel hurt? Do you feel that deep in your soul? Or do you just find the next one who wants to? I'm really curious about that. So if anybody wants to share their experiences with that, we will welcome that topic in. When we come forward, we are going to talk about Spence versus Crawford, the outcome of that. Should Spence be looking to get his rematch clause going and face off against Crawford soon? We're going to talk about Offset and Cardi B and their, little relationship intimacy secrets that Offset revealed. We're going to talk about J. Cole. All of that and more. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DePrima, and there are so many reasons to take out a small business loan. Set yourself up for long-term success with access to credit for operating expenses, equipment, and technology, leasing or financing, and more. Although the process may seem daunting, your U.S. Bank Business Access Advisor can guide you through that process. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on.
K-Drip.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-381-8528 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-381-8528. That's 800-381-8528. What do you have to lose? Call 800-381-8528. Again, 800-381-8528. 8528.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, I told you I had some Clipper news. Well, Clippers small forward Amir Coffey was arrested in LA on Sunday morning after police say they found a loaded gun in his ride on Sunday morning. He was a passenger, actually, in the car, but it was a car that was registered to him. And it was around 2:30 in the morning in Hollywood. Officers say they saw the car speeding, pulled over, and searched the car and found the gun. Of course, Amir was released soon after. But the question that I have is, we have seen a lot of things go on in LA, right? As far as artists, rappers, etc. being attacked or shot. We saw just at a nightclub in Hollywood over the weekend at Dragonfly, a security guard was beaten to death by about 30 patrons of a club. Not really sure if the details have been released as to why yet. Some were thinking it might have been retaliation, maybe from not letting someone in the club or, asking someone to leave the club, but was beat down. And we're hearing more and more about athletes, celebrities being armed, taking advantage of their rights to bear arms. So, just wondering, good question for the last hour, is this a smart move? Or does it usually end up in being more of a headache for the artist or celebrity or athlete than it's worth? How many times have we seen a person caring that's famous use it and it be to their benefit? It saved their life. It has prevented them from being carjacked, robbed, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll look up that stat. We obviously don't know exact numbers on who is permitted, who's licensed to carry, who does it anyway. But I'd just be curious about that, because more and more as we are seeing things get, I don't know if out of control is the word, but out of sorts, at least a bit. More celebrities are being attacked in various ways, as we talked about earlier. So does it make sense for them to start taking things into their own hands and, having some sort of protection on them in some capacity? Love to hear your thoughts on that. But anyway, let's discuss the fight. So we know Errol Spence Jr. faced off against Terrence Crawford in Las Vegas over the weekend. The fight was aired on Showtime pay-per-view. And if you watched it, there were a lot of comparisons made to another famous fight. It involved, is it Tommy Hitman Hearns? Yeah, I think it was. And a guy named Martin Payne. If you remember that episode of Martin, if you saw, was it Hitman Hearns or was it Hagler? I can't remember. Oh, it was Hitman Hearns. Okay, I was like, am I jacking that up? Yeah, if you remember what Martin's face looked like after he got out the ring. I didn't say this. This is what I spotted on social media. There were a lot of references to Martin and that particular match. And I'm going to be honest with you. When they put the side-by-sides up of Martin and of Errol post-fight, I will say that it did seem to be a bit of life imitating art. You know, I don't know what was going on, but Errol looked cooked. He looked cooked. Andy?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
He looked cooked. I mean, he got done up this past weekend.
He got touched. Listen, Errol, from what I understand, had never been knocked down in a fight before. He was knocked down not one, not two, not three, but 4 times on Saturday night. 4 times. So, obviously, Terrence Bud Crawford was in his bag. You know, they were both undefeated. I think Errol came in 28-0, right? He's now 28-1. Not a bad record. Not too bad. He also, it's rumored that they each got about $25 million payday for the match, right? It's really a huge fight. Well, it's for Crawford. It's really kind of his first huge high-profile fight. So he definitely has set himself up for the future. So both sides had a rematch clause in their contract, right? Because in theory, when you think of these two guys matching up, who wouldn't want to see whoever lost in a rematch? Well, some people are questioning if a rematch is a good idea. Errol came back immediately and said that he would like to see a rematch. He threw out like a December timeline. That's when he would like to get a rematch done. As in just like 4 short months away from now. I think that's a little soon. I think that maybe he needs to chill, and maybe Bud needs to go get some more money and fight somebody else. I mean, if you watch the fight, and we'll get into that too, seems like Terrence has his next match picked out. Seems like as soon as he found out he won, he got up on the ropes and pointed out who he wanted his next opponent to be, which is kind of crazy and bold if you think about it, but I'm not mad at it. You know, talk your mess, do your thing. So here's something that we have to consider with Errol Spence Jr. when we're talking about him. So he was finally knocked out in the 9th round. Realistically, we all know if you watch that fight, and you don't have to be a boxing expert, you don't have to know a great deal about the sport to know that that match was really over about 2-3 rounds before it was finally called. Terrence really did the fans a favor, giving them some extra rounds of fighting for their money, because that fight was done, right? And so unified the belts, the new undisputed 147-pound champion. But again, do we want to see a rematch that soon? I feel like if you looked at the fight, Crawford was just the better man in every way. There was talk about some of the weight loss tactics that Spence had used and how before the fight he looked a little gaunt. He didn't look to be in his best shape. Not sure if that was a problem. He did mention that he would like to fight at 154 for the rematch. He'd like to step up his weight class. So we'll see if that happens. But what some have been questioning is if there were to be a rematch, what could Spence really do differently in this fight? From what I understand, from what I've read, some of the takes that we've seen, you know, Spence was pretty aggressive. He was just beaten down with counter punches. I saw an indication, and again, this isn't my total wheelhouse, but I'm going to share this information with you because it seems correct to me that Spence doesn't do a very good job at protecting his chin, and he got touched a couple times, and you could see the impact of that on him. Just basically in every capacity in this situation, Crawford was better, and you know, they're friends, so I know that that wasn't like an easy thing for Terrence to do, but Spence said he had no excuses. So listen, December's pretty soon, right? And it didn't look to me like Crawford has the least bit interest in spinning the block on this fight that soon ahead. We did see Jermell Charlo. He was ringside, right? And he wants the smoke. And apparently Crawford wants the smoke with him as well, because he stood up on the ropes and said, "You're next." Have you ever seen that in a fight? The winning fighter, after he just took somebody down. We can't forget that he walked out to Eminem. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think the Eminem walkout. I was like, Eminem, no shade, no tea. I get it. Eminem's tough, Detroit, blase blah. And even though the song works, M is a dope rapper, that just didn't hype me up like it was supposed to. But it got Bud hype because he came in from the gate and was ready to handle business and take it down. Another suggested maybe fight target for Crawford. Some people are suggesting that maybe he could fight Canelo Alvarez. Most believe that there's a possibility that Canelo will drop his weight class down a little bit, and so that's how that fight could make sense. Not sure about that, but this is something that I wasn't completely aware of about Errol Spence Jr. that I think is worth considering. So I was watching some of Stephen A. Smith's show, and he was talking about this, and I've seen a couple of other commentators mention. So Errol Spence has had about 3 car accidents over the past few years. The most recent one was in December, and he was hit head on by a 14-year-old who stole their parents' car, right? So before that, in October of 2019, Spence was in a single car accident where he was speeding and lost control of his Ferrari. He was ejected from the vehicle before being taken to the hospital. He made a full recovery. However, in that accident, which he also had to plead guilty to a DWI, he received a 3-day jail sentence, and he was ordered to pay $3,400 in court costs. But in that accident, he suffered a shattered jaw, a concussion, his teeth were injured, his retina was detached. It has been suggested that and then there was one other accident that took place where he was rear-ended just 3 months after the accident that happened in October of 2019. So he's had some situations go on. Then, to add to it, the head trauma that he took from the match on Saturday night, some are suggesting that maybe retirement should be on the menu. I don't know. Or at the very least, he needs to take some time off. At least a year off. And with that time off, they're saying real time off. Like not, oh, I'm going to spar, or I'm going to keep myself in shape by, doing a few hitting sessions at the gym. That he needs to completely rest and recuperate, because they felt as though he didn't quite look the same in the match Saturday night as we've seen him in previous times. So I don't know how we feel about that. Obviously, it's a contact sport. We know CTE is very real. Those lumps and bumps, that wasn't a fathead like on Martin. Those were real. We'll have to see what happens, but I hope he is taking his health very seriously. I'm not sure what his family situation is, but I hope he talks with his family and they connect. And honestly, I think that if there is a rematch, it needs to be at least a year from now. I can't see anyone that is really lining up to pay for a rematch in December, especially when December in Vegas is also going to feature what is the NBA tournament playing? It's not the play-in tournament, but the in-season tournament that happens December 9th and 10th. We have that coming up. We'll right be in the middle of football season. Usher. in Vegas, all of those things. I think that it can wait. I think that we should just keep on the trajectory, have it somewhere, kind of maybe stick to Floyd's plan, somewhere between Cinco de Mayo and Independence Day in September, Mexican Independence Day, that is. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know. 800-920-1580. Hit us up on social media. You can share that with us there. And, best wishes to Spence because he tried. Good job. Good effort. Good job. Good effort. But, seriously, his health should be the main concern. And though he said everything was fine, still, seeing the type of brutality that he took, you gotta wonder. Andy?
First off, he got a beating, but he didn't get beat down like that. I think the fight could have still continued. And a lot of people talk about the car accident or whatnot. That happened back in 2019. And he had 2 more fights, if I'm not mistaken, after the accident. So this fight with Crawford, a lot of people want to talk about the accident as maybe the reason why, he's not the same. Nah, he had 2 fights after the accident, won those fights. So people using the car accident as an excuse, I ain't going to give it to him.
You're not going to give it to him?
Nah.
Well, here's the thing. Bud landed, they said, 87% of his jabs and 60% of his power punches. So basically 50% plus of his hits. That sounds like Hands of Fury.
For sure.
Again, I am not totally familiar to that degree with Spence. I heard his name, but I didn't see the prior fights. But I do think that, one, you got $25 million. So you could take a little bit of time to make some decisions about what you want to do next. I also think that it will do Spence a disservice if he comes back quickly and loses again. I think that it will throw him off for future fights. I'm not talking about another rematch. I just mean in general. I think that it will set him down the wrong path. So obviously, appreciate him being gung-ho. He didn't make any excuses for himself. He said the better fighter won. I respect that. I appreciate that. But I do think that there is something to be said by maybe, waiting on that decision. Because if you're talking about fighting again in December, that means you have to start training again in like 3 weeks.
This is what they do.
It is what they do. But again, it's a health and safety issue for me.
Oh my gosh, you guys are acting like this dude is like about to be on his deathbed.
He's not about to be on his deathbed, but he was touched up. Those lumps and bumps look pretty bad.
Yeah, he was touched up, but come on now. I done seen UFC fighters fight this past weekend, and then 2 months later they fight again.
They fight back.
So as a fighter, once you heal down, the swelling goes away, you're feeling back to normal. Training is back on. So
training is nothing. But do the fans want to see that? I don't think they do.
They'll tune into it. But I do think that maybe Spence probably needs to hold off on a rematch. But I get it. It's an ego thing. He wants that get back.
For sure, it's an ego thing. But, get your money later. Chill out for a second. It won't be that bad. When we come forward, we will have more of the top trending headlines and all of the sizzling topics that have been jumping off on social media. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Clinical trials for long COVID treatments are starting soon with the National Institutes of Health currently enrolling patients. They expect additional trials to test at least 7 more treatments in the next few months. These are the first into a possible treatment for long COVID after Congress provided over $1 billion in funding in December 2020 for the NIH's Recover initiative to research the long-term consequences of COVID. And police are investigating black rapper Cardi B for battery after she threw a microphone phone at an audience member who threw a drink on her. That's according to a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department statement to the New York Post. And the extreme heat wave continues. In the Southwest, Phoenix has now topped 110 degrees for 31 days straight. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Life moves fast. Your car shouldn't. Keep neighbors safe. Drive like your friends or family live there. Better slow than sorry. Go safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Gain presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer lasting scent.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I don't really care if your tears fall down your face. You know you play the victim every time. I know you getting turns every night. Okay, your girls ain't trying to get me off your mind. The same ones who be hitting on my line. They're not your friends. I need you to know that we ain't ever gonna go back. This time it got so bad. It's best for me, it's best for you.
Weekend,
I
right?
need you to know that.
It's Monday, but that's the weekend. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. And VIPs, we're going to get into some things, but before we do, Tony Yayo in the chat says, nobody has dollars to spend $90 right before Christmas on a pay-per-view rematch of Spence versus Crawford. Andy?
First off, Tony Yayo, get your technology game up. If you're over here spending $90, it's definitely a problem. I'm with you. But there's definitely ways to watch things without having to spend that amount of money.
Okay. Little hack, little jailbreak, little something, little hookup. I don't know. I mean, you could just do what everybody else does and just watch the clips on social media after the fact. You could do that too, because a lot of these people are not being truthful. They are not watching the whole of anything. They're just checking out the highlights, which is okay too, but DJ Black 909 says, I don't even want to see a rematch. Terrence Crawford is clearly superior to Errol Spence. Bud came out here and beat him worse than anybody Wait, I can't see. Worse than he's ever been beat. Let's move on. DJ, I definitely understand your sentiments. And I feel that I really am kind of hard pressed. Again, not a boxing expert at all, just my novice opinion, but I'm like, what's he gonna do different? What's he gonna come back and show? I didn't feel like there was a point where I saw something in the match that was like, ooh, if he could just get that, again, this is just my non-professional POV, but it just looked like he just got handled, and I don't see it turning out differently, or there was nothing for me. Again, knowing Errol's track record, knowing what he has done in other matches, I just don't know what he could do in a rematch that would, end up with different results.
I can tell you what he can do.
Okay, let's hear it.
First off, study a little bit more Floyd Mayweather, just a little bit more. And
Footwork?
No, defense.
Defense, okay.
First off, I think he definitely did throw way too many punches. I think if he would have just reserved back and not thrown as much punches, and this is what Terrence Crawford does. It takes him a couple rounds for him to kind of get going because he's studying his opponent.
Right.
So Spence, take that note, study your opponent. You know what I'm saying? All Terrence Crawford did for the most part was counterpunch because Spence was being aggressive. So what that tells me is you probably needed to fall back a little bit.
And let him come.
And do the same thing. So fall back, watch some Mayweather videos, and just play a little bit more defense as opposed to offense and see how that works. I'd give him one more opportunity.
One more? I mean, one more, but in a year. I don't want to see it in December.
No, I don't want to see it in a year from now. Let's do it in December when it's hot. You want to strike it. You know what I mean? If we gonna wait a year, no, I'd rather see Terrence Crawford fight Charlo, in a year from now. But
Okay.
I'd be down to see. I understand why a lot of people don't want to see a rematch, and I agree with a lot of people. But I'd give Spence maybe one more opportunity. I mean, he got to get his get back. And if Bud does what he does again, then Spence is a wrap.
That's it. That's it. I mean, my question though is, what does it mean to his career if he lost twice to Crawford within such a short amount of time span?
You know, a lot of people put these two individuals at the top of their division. I don't know if it takes too much away from his legacy, and this is why another fight against Crawford would be beneficial for him, because if he can overcome that loss, then, you know, a lot of people are kind of like, oh, his legacy is damaged now, this, that, and the third, but it could be restored, given a rematch. So
We'll have to see. If I had a fifth, I think that's like what the old saying used to be. I might be saying it wrong, but it's something like that, basically. Okay, let's talk. Well, before we get into Offset and Cardi B, we have some breakup news for you. Oh, teardrop, teardrop, teardrop. If you are into Summer Walker has dropped her most recent boyfriend. Not a baby daddy, just a boyfriend. We know she has 2 baby daddies. But Summer has broken up. She announced that she and Little Meech, Demetrius Flannery of BMF, the TV show fame, Demetrius Flannery Jr., I should say, that they've broken up. You know, they were booed up, and she put out on her Instagram stories, I can't do that cheating stuff. Tried my best to be Jada Waita. That's a girl that dated another rapper that's Instagram popular, but I couldn't. It was cute though. I wish him the best. And if fans want to know why she needed to throw Jada Waita under the bus, like, Summer, just take your L in peace, but Summer never seems to be able to do that. Well, Jada saw it, and she wasn't going to let that ride. She said, well, first, Des Dior said, and Des, you know, is affiliated with Future, she could have gotten the same point across without mentioning Jada. We've all had our run-ins with a man, including you. Stop it. Jada added, I learned my lesson after 1 kid. MFs around here are starting their own trends and trying to insert me in it for laughs. No. That's not going to have it. So, you know, listen, I just say when you put somebody else in it, be prepared for them to come back at you 2 times. That's just the way the game goes. And so, speaking of cheating, I mentioned Cardi B and Offset. So, Offset, in support of his new single, Jealousy, which features Cardi, and the video has a baby boy theme. Taraji P. Henson is in it. It's cute. Go check it out online. But on a recent interview with Angela Yee, Way Up with Angela Yee, he talked about his decision to cheat on Cardi. You know, they had lots of issues as far as cheating. We saw it play out online. We see some elements of it reenacted in the video for Jealousy, and of course, kind of the subject matter. So, Offset says when he and Cardi first got married, because they were so young, he immediately started making bad decisions. He says that he lacked communication skills and that it was hard for both of them to balance their relationship and being in the public eye. Offset also says that he was on lean heavily at that time, and that really, really, really impacted him, and that he didn't know how to be a husband, and that led to him cheating. He said, really, it was our communication. We got married and our communication was good, but it wasn't like, you know, I wasn't saying my wants and needs and vice versa. She wasn't saying hers. We both were, you know, front center, and our business was always public. So I was really young. I was on some different stuff. I was on lean and stuff too. I was just making bad decisions and not realizing how it affects my family, right? So, Andy, you look like you had a comment about that. No? Okay. So that is Offset's reasoning. You do? Okay. Here we go.
I'm just curious to know why they even wanted to get married in the first place. Like, hearing those excuses from Offset, it's like, come on, bro. Like,
I think it was a good look for them. I think, when I say that, I'm not saying, I'm saying I think that they thought, hey, we're young, we're popping, let's get married, let's do the jagged edge thing. And, they had to work through those growing pains. They seem to be on the same accord now. And when we come forward, I will share with you how Offset says he always makes sure that he's holding Cardi down. We're going to hear what he has to say and get your thoughts on that. All that and more, you're checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Youth Forward organization calls for a cannabis candy ban for products they say target children. I'm Maisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Mid-July, a coalition of groups committed to raising awareness about cannabis products that look like candy called on Governor Newsom to enact a cannabis candy ban. Youth Forward, an organization working to shape cannabis policy, is leading the charge with a petition to direct tax revenues from marijuana into youth and community reinvestment programs. The Cannabis Candy Child Safety Act, Assembly Bill 1207, passed the Assembly with a 61-0 vote in May. The bill aims to prevent children from consuming cannabis products by regulating packaging and advertising. It is currently under review in the Senate Appropriations Committee. KBLA listeners, what are your thoughts on this one? Let us know on our social platforms on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
Hey, I am Jasmine Carson, LSU Women's Basketball National Champion. I had to up my game, and it's time I up my intimate grooming routine too. Venus for Pubic Hair and Skin is the only razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area. Featuring a razor with a patented irritation defense bar and a skincare regimen that is dermatologist tested, Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Visit GilletteVenus.com to learn more about the full regimen of products.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So earlier you heard me mention that there's a gentleman on TikTok, a dating expert, self-proclaimed, that said that men actually suffer in the same way that women suffer from emotionally when they're rejected or their heart is broken, when women deny them sex. So, Offset had a comment not on that particular topic, but on the topic of keeping a woman satisfied. And he shared his thoughts on how he has managed to make sure that his wife is always set up and always straight. We're going to play them for you.
I don't know about the rest of these guys, but see, I have sex to please my woman.
Mhm.
I don't have sex for me. A lot of guys be tripping. They be having sex for themselves. Like, to be honest, if we gonna talk about sex, like when I have sex with my wife, she's going to.
Right.
That's my mission, is for her to, and like not for me to like. A lot of dudes be thinking like, I be trying to. I want to teach the game, man. Players, beating her down. That don't make you really like. That don't really make you the pro. Like you think like a lot of us thinking being the alpha is like beating it down. You gotta do enjoyable things to your woman and make her feel like this is an out of body experience. Like me and my woman is like, our bodies are so tired because I know what to do when to do it. You dig what I'm saying? I study her body and make sure I want to make sure that you enjoy this. See, I was on lean but still handling my business. See, I never had no issue with that with wifey, you know.
Okay.
She gonna shiver when
Because I've heard about what do they call it? Lean? I don't even know, but I've heard about that. So I don't know.
I don't know either.
You're like, we didn't
Trust
have no
me.
problems in that area.
No, I just like
That's
magic.
why she not going nowhere. Did she say that?
I like magic. She knows it.
So that's Offset on wife Cardi B and how he holds it down with her. This was an interview from Way Up With Ye, Angelique Yee. So Offset says that his first priority is taking care of his wife physically when they hook up. And, you know, that's not something that we generally hear about from men. But he says that he wants to make sure that she knows she comes first. He also says he wants to teach that to his fellow males out there. So my question to you is, and he's right, he's absolutely right, because, you know, if you make her happy, then what is she going to turn around and do? Make you happy, and then everybody's happy, and it's just a circle of happiness. That's what I think. But I do find it interesting that he's really gung-ho about this at this point. And I wonder, is it because he got caught cheating? Is that part of the makeup process that now it's like, you know, she might have restricted it. She might have, you know, changed up some things, because when you get caught up cheating, sometimes your partner doesn't, at least initially, want to connect with you in the same ways, because that, you know, wall of trust has been broken, and, you know, all types of things in that measure. But I do wonder if Offset's approach has always been that way with Cardi, or if this is something that developed for him after the cheating stuff and after the allegations and so forth. So, you know, but shout out to Offset for wanting to make sure he holds his wife down. He also talked about, you know, some guys, like when he and Cardi had some jokes or some commentary on social media, that someone, he didn't name names, dived into his wife's DMs, and he wanted to let those guys know, one, there's nothing that you can do because you're not going to be able to hang with what I put down with her. And two, that's just disrespectful. So, I mean, I don't know. It feels like at times the rules change depending upon who's sitting in the hot seat. So we'll have to see, but shout out to Offset for wanting to instruct men how to make sure that they keep their significant other happy and put them first and their pleasure first. So, you know, keep holding it down. We also have to keep in mind that Offset and Cardi are only 30 and 31 years old. So whatever they went through initially when they first got married, and they've been married for quite a bit of time at this point, you know, growing pains. Everybody goes through them. So anyway, now we're going to move on to another rapper J. Cole. So J. Cole was recently on Kevin Hart's podcast, like a lot of people have been. Recently, we've seen Jay-Z as a guest on there, Dr. Dre, and others. You know, Kevin is landing all the big fish. So J. Cole named his top rap influences. And it's the usual suspects. It's the names that you would expect. Pac, Nas, Jay, M, Andre 3000, Lil Wayne. He said on a lower level, it's people like Royce the 5'9" and Cannabis. We talked about Cannabis recently. Do you guys know who Cannabis is? Do you remember his rap where he took out LL Cool J and made LL go back? Not like made him like he told him to, but LL heard the verse. And anyway, that's some like 97, 98 drama. But my question is, should we stop asking rappers about who their influences are or who their top 3, 5, 10 rappers or whatever? We never get a list that really has any variety to it. We're basically going to be dealing with about the same 5 names. And on the rare occasion that someone does throw out a different rapper's name or a different order or prioritize another sound from someone else, people always get really, really angry and don't respect that it's an individualized choice, that influences come from all different spaces, and we should be respectful of that. But does it feel like any rapper, male or female, when they give you their best of list, does it feel like a retread? Does it feel like they're just saying what is expected to say, what they're expected to say based off of what the culture says should be in your list? I kind of feel that it's not a waste of time, but we don't hear much variety. We don't really hear why they feel some of these artists are impactful or what is it about them. Because just because, let's say, I like Pac because he touched my soul. He spoke about things that were happening in neighborhoods and in homes that we didn't necessarily hear from rap, right? But someone else could say, well, I like Big because he rocked a party, right? And those are both perfectly acceptable POVs. But you know that nobody's really going to have a top list, a list of influences, and not have Pac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, etc. Like, it's always crazy to me that I don't hear any of the, well, listen, they probably, like a lot of them said, don't even know that LL Cool J really rapped back in the day. But you never hear any LL references. You never hear any Run DMC references. You never even hear any like Big Daddy Kane references or just different rappers from different eras. You just hear the same 5, and the list is always late 90s, unless it's an older rapper. And then you hear people thrown in like maybe a Rakim, Schoolie D, you know, depending upon where they're from and things like that. But I just have to wonder, is it time to stop asking about their top 5s and influences? Because we never get any variety and everyone seems to be scared to push the needle or say anything different. So I just, had that question. Well, let me give you guys a little bit of what's coming up this week on RSVP with Jill Munroe. So Tuesday night, we have a guest coming up, Drew Greer. He is a former executive at Nike and Under Armour, Ralph Lauren, and a bunch of other brands. If you have ever worn an Air Force One that is branded, that is not just a basic colorway, that has some type of design to it, like, for example, the Travis Scott Air Force Ones that were released with Utopia, and you could buy the album as a $5 add-on if you bought the sneakers and those little packs like that. You have this guy, Drew Greer, to thank for that. He is the one that started up with the reissue craze at Nike, so we're going to get into that with him. We're also going to be talking with Gil Robinson. He is the president of the African American Film Critics Association. We're going to talk to him. And we have a guest coming on Thursday, Jensen. He is an actor from Sisters. We're going to talk about that. So thank you for rocking with me on Monday night. I hope you got your fill. Your VIP pass is stamped. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you for rocking with me as always. When we come forward, you will hear the best of KBLA Talk 1580.
Street to a penthouse, Miami Beach. Yeah, yo. Talk crazy on tweets. They don't want it cause I come to defeat. They don't want it. I peep, these all sweet. Bamboo sticks all in the Jeep. It's a new weirdo every week. Get the what, put it up for my seeds. No cure for the IG disease. No cure. Anything for clout. They do anything for clout. Do anything for clout. They do anything for clout. Do anything for clout.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network.